What does it mean to follow your joy? Does it mean to just do things that make you happy? Or is it something deeper than happiness? I could say going to this party and doing these drugs or whatever, it's going to give me some happiness. But we know that that's not true happiness. So I feel like you can twist this language of following your joy into doing things that just feel satisfying and gratifying and maybe even fills a void in some sense. But joy is something that I think is a lot more pure and lasting and deeper. Something that brings your spirit happiness. Maybe that's the definition of joy. So I have really been on this journey of following my joy and deciphering for myself what that means. How I got here. When I started traveling this year for the past 6 months, I originally left LA with a lot of questions mentally and emotionally. A lot of it had to do with my next steps in life as I'm approaching 30 pretty soon in a couple years. I feel like I've had to feel like I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with my life? I'm out of this relationship that I've been in for a long time. What kind of life partner do I want? What kind of career do I want? Where do I even want to live? I couldn't even decide like what city, state, country to live in. So I started asking myself these questions of like, what makes me happy? And what's my purpose in life? But at the time, a lot of this was really geared towards career. Career was really the frame that I was answering these questions from. What kind of things that I do career wise, what makes me happy there? Where should I live that's best for my career? What's my purpose in my career? And as I've been traveling, that question has shifted for me from career to purpose. And I think that when you're living from your purpose and for your purpose, the things that you worry about, the thing that makes a purpose a career is your 3D mentality of how do I make money from this, right? And that's what really brings you into the frame of career, is thinking of everything kind of transactionally and the give and take of, okay, where can I best put my energy that brings me back energy in the form of money? How can I do that in a most efficient way and in a way that makes me happy? And although you're asking the deeper questions of like, what can I do for money that is soul fulfilling? It's still asking those questions from like a career point of view. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we do need to ask ourselves that question. Because we live in a 3D world, we live in this matrix, and we need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to be able to support ourselves, our lifestyles. If we're parents, we need to be able to support our kids. And if you have relatives that, depend on you, like your mother or whatever, you need to be able to think about those questions very logistically. So those are important questions, framing things from the point of money and career. But for me, I have been shifting from asking myself questions from a career frame and entering more into purpose, and even shifting out of that into something else. So I started asking myself, what is my purpose? How can I intertwine purpose with everything I do, whether it's creativity, whether it's, work, whether it's where I travel to? How can I integrate my purpose with how I show up on social media with my online presence? And my purpose, when I started asking myself questions about that, I started to narrow in on certain things. I really love to encourage creativity in people. I love to teach. I love to create in general and just share my creations with the world. And I love to help other people. And just that, I love to help other people. In certain ways, yes, but I really just want to help people. And then I started to shift from how can I help people and ask myself, is that the most important thing? Asking myself, how can I help somebody? And this might sound kind of, I don't know. I hope this is making sense. But I started realizing the best way I can help people is by living from my joy. And that following my joy actually answers all of these questions. Following my joy answers the questions about career. It answers the questions about my purposes. It answers the questions about how can I help people. Because I started to believe and realize for myself, at least, that my joy is intertwined with all of these things. And I actually believe that human beings were designed intelligently and that our joy has an intelligence. Just like our emotions have an intelligence in general, our joy is intelligent. The things that bring us joy, why wouldn't it be intertwined with our careers and our purpose? Our deepest purpose in life, why wouldn't that bring us joy? Doesn't it only make sense that your deep purpose in life brings you joy? So that's where I'm at. I decided to stop thinking so much about, what's the best career for me? What's the most scalable career? What is the way I can help people and also make money at the same time? Like, I'm not asking those kind of questions anymore. I'm asking what brings me joy. And letting that be the scavenger hunt for everything else. And I think that when I'm doing things from a place of joy, the money comes kind of naturally, But I also think that there's seasons of life. There's seasons of life where you do things that you don't want to do. Maybe it's for a lesson. Maybe it's, something that your younger self just needed to go through to know what you don't like. I think seasons of realizing what we don't want in life are really important, like relationships that are not resonating, and it teaches us and shows us, yeah, that's something I don't want. Actually, I thought I wanted that, but I don't. And you might think you want a job and then you go into it and you're like, yeah, actually, this is not for me. This career field is not for me. I think a lot of people go through that because why wouldn't they're just looking at how many people change their college majors, for example. Obviously, you thought going into it, you had this theory of what it was going to be, but then actually doing it, you're like, yeah, no, that's not it. I'm not happy. So choosing to be happy is, I think, the smartest thing we can do because it's going to lead to the most fulfilling lives for ourselves, So yeah, right now I'm just focused on taking care of myself, my body, my mind, my soul, and doing things that make me joyful, following the breadcrumbs of my joy, and taking care of my work. It's, I don't necessarily want to do every single aspect of my work all the time, but I'm devoted to it because I love it. And I think devotion is also a really good word to resonate with instead of disciplined. Instead of saying I'm disciplined enough to do my work. I don't know, that doesn't feel that great for me. Discipline just feels so harsh in a sense, forceful. It's like you're forcing yourself to do it. Whereas devotion, it's from a place of love. And I'm devoted enough to my creativity. I'm devoted to my work. I'm devoted to my body, my health, to eat well, to exercise, to get movement. I'm devoted to my beauty, to take care of my skin. I'm devoted to my soul, I'm devoted to my mind to keep learning. I'm devoted to my creativity, so I'm going to keep creating and exercising this muscle. I'm devoted to my relationships, so I put time and effort and intention into the way that I connect with people. So yeah, joy is the vibe right now. And I know that this is kind of almost a privileged conversation to have in the time where there's a hurricane going on, there's, violence in the world at all times, but I have the space to be able to ask these questions for myself. And it's important to me. And I think that it's okay to just feel that way, you know? We don't have to absorb every trauma going on in the world. It's okay to actually just put one foot in front of the other in your own life and do your best. And it's okay to be happy, you know? I had this conversation with my friend today, and she was telling me about some of the astrological transits coming up in my life, and some of them are called the Cinderella transits. And I have a Cinderella aspect in my astrology, where some astrologers would call it a very lucky placement. And it just makes for somebody to be very optimistic and lucky. And I've always been very optimistic and lucky. But I started thinking about the term Cinderella, and I asked my friend, like, do you think that Cinderella, she went from rags to riches. Do you think that she had a hard time accepting all the good things that were coming her way because the time that everything evolved, it was so quick and so drastic? And she was like, wow, that is such a great question. I have never thought about that. And I asked that question because that's kind of how I feel right now. Like, all these good things are happening. And I honestly, sometimes I don't feel worthy. Just to be real with you guys, sometimes I don't feel sure or confident that I have the right to accept all of this goodness. It's like the term, it's too good to be true. I wonder if Cinderella had a hard time processing her life changes and accepting all the good things that coming her way. I wonder if she ever had any moments of wanting to subconsciously self-sabotage all the good things happening in her life. A lot of good things are happening in my life right now. My relationships in life are the best that they've ever been, the healthiest. I feel like my creativity has evolved in a way where it just feels so good and so pure and so playful right now. I'm traveling, seeing the world. I've been to 10 different countries this year. And I have 2 more to go to before I return back to LA. So I'll have gone to 12 different countries in the span of like 7-8 months. My whole life has changed, and there's so many opportunities coming my way right now, some really amazing collaborations, and it just feels so good that it scares me. And all of these things came from following my joy. So I'm thankful for that. And it feels good. But at the same time, there's this like fear in the back of my mind that, and I get some anxiety at moments. Like, what if I'm not good enough for this? Like, what if I disappoint these people? What if I prove them wrong? What if I fail at this? What if I can't deliver? So I've really been sitting with that and letting myself feel how I feel and loving that feeling when it comes up, because it just wants to be seen. And there's, it was a big aha moment for me personally, because I realized, wow, this is the thing that has been holding me back. This is the thing that has been holding me back in all aspects of life, whether it's financial success to relational success with love. Like, I've been holding myself back because I didn't believe that I'm good enough. I didn't believe that I'm worth it. So I self-sabotage or am too fearful to let the good things come into my life, But that's shifting now. And I can see the fruit of all the inner work that I've done because of all the good things that are happening. And just how I've shifted. Like, I'm such a different person than I was before. And I'm proud of myself. I love that for myself. So this moment of feeling these doubts and fears come into my mind, I see it. Like I see it. I'm aware. And I'm holding space for that. And because I see it, because I'm aware, I'm not going to allow those things to deter me anymore. I think it's only when you don't see and you're just acting from a place of like subconscious fear, blindly acting because of how you're subconsciously afraid, that's when you make decisions that aren't the best for you. But I think that if you're aware, even if you feel it, even if it is still there, that hasn't changed, but you see it, you are aware of it, and you can hold it, and you can send it love, and you can be gentle with yourself. So, yeah, I'm in the process of following my joy and letting myself feel the joy. I did finish reading this book called Ask and It Is Given by Esther Hicks. And, they say that there's in the book, they talk about how there's 3 steps to manifestation. The first step is to ask and desire something. That's your job, to ask and desire something. The second step is not your job. It's not your role. The second step is that it's already given. Once you desire and ask for something, the universe is already like, okay, putting it into motion. It's yours. But the third step is your job, your role, and that is to allow it. So the first step is to ask and desire. The second step, it is given. The third step is to allow it. And that is the part I think that we all get stuck up on. To allow something into your reality means that you vibrationally match the energy of which you are desiring. If I want to be a millionaire, if I want to be someone who impacts the world on a really great level, whether it's through creativity, through business, through entertainment, if I want to make 1 million people laugh, then I have to vibrationally match that vision. What kind of person, what's the difference between who I am right now and that person that I'm looking forwards to becoming? How can I close that gap? How can I match that person's frequency that I'm looking at, which is my future self? How can I bring that future self into the present? So this is like something, I guess, that has been on my mind. And yeah, this is a little bit of a rant. I kind of started this podcast with no real plan, just kind of free flowing. And I hope I maybe raised a few questions for you in your own heart. Maybe clarified some things. Maybe just pointed some things out that you can ask yourself. Yeah, joy is the vibe. It's okay to allow ourselves to feel that joy. And it's also okay if we get scared in the process and feel freaked out by all the goodness, Alrighty. Love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Here to Be Free podcast. I'm Jixie. You can follow me on Instagram for more of my art. And yeah, love you all.